Hey everybody. Well, we was not finished yet. Looks like the powers that be ended our stream before we could get a chance to get finished.
Could have been someone was offended.
Also, our internet has been off, so we were able to start doing videos on Restream, and our internet has been off for the last few days, and that's after we started doing videos on Restream. So could be the powers that be. So
Oh,
y'all,
that freedom we talked about. That could be that freedom.
so y'all, it's kind of bug. Y'all like the video and share it out, um, because we really need all the help we can get right now.
Right? I don't know anybody who would want to take a bullet and die, uh, knowing what's going on now. It might sound
Sorry, y'all.
it might sound a little harsh,
Maybe a
but
mosquito.
there is a lot of trouble going on now in this country. I don't know who would die for that. I can't say that my past, knowing my folks when I was younger, they never talked like it would ever be like this. But you don't have to look at the gold. Roosevelt pulled up all the gold in the Great Depression, and I wouldn't want to say it's going to happen again, but somebody loves gold a lot, and he can say you got to turn it in because Roosevelt did it in the Great Depression. And how many people are thinking they're going to make it when it gets bad with their gold? Because the government can pass a law to confiscate all gold. They did it before.
Y'all let us know where y'all are listening from or watching from. We went ahead and started back again. I see some of you are back on now. We went ahead and started back again because our stream ended on its own. So, like we were saying, it might be the powers that be that are trying to stop us. Our internet has been out for a few days now. We learned how to do Restream, and we were doing videos on Restream, and now our internet is out, and it's been out for a few days.
Disruptions. Disruptions.
Yes, definitely. Love every day. Um, yeah, we something happened. All of a sudden, a while ago, the stream just ended on us. We didn't end it, so I guess they didn't want us to finish this video. But here we go again.
Just essentially setting the stage for deeper talks on nuclear.
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding that is a little conceptual, but it's that's going to get done. And if it doesn't get done for any reason, which I can't imagine, that they want to sign it as much as I do or more.
President Trump says he believes Iran's supreme leader has already approved the deal. But tonight, Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying Iran has not reached a final conclusion. And tonight, the terms of any deal, Lindsay, are not clear. Both sides really sticking to their demands, but President Trump says it will happen and that there could be a signing ceremony as soon as this weekend, Lindsay.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't see why you talk about things until it's ready to do. It's ready to happen. Um, I see the gas prices going up and down every time he says something. This is really just keep quiet until you do it.
I have another clip here to play. Um, let me see here. It's by Canadian Prepper. So y'all take a listen to this because he's got a little bit of information concerning the Iran war.
So the World War III edgelord did not fail to deliver today. You know, there will be books written about this period of irrational exuberance. The same mania and delusion fueling the markets is also hanging on Donald Trump's every confabulation. You know, the reason why Donald Trump is so convincing and the reason why people persistently fall for the same old tricks, it's really astounding, isn't it? I mean, we were just here days, if not weeks, if not months ago, 38, 39 times. It is 41. Is that going to 42? You know, now that, you know, we're really almost there, and he officially now stated that the war is over today, unofficially, informally. Is this really it? Is this enough? You know, when he does backpedal on this one, will that be enough to finally break people out of the spell? I don't think so. The level of cognitive dissonance that is required to believe what Trump has said. You see, when people are, the more conviction you have, the harder it is to escape a cult of personality. And that's kind of the trench that a lot of Magites have plopped themselves into, unfortunately. So,
Use the
needless to
language
say,
in a little bit.
the Iranians are denying that this is a deal. Now, there is a caveat to that I'll talk about in a moment. But by and large, I'll read you the actual official statement from the foreign ministry. Iran's foreign ministry directly rejects Trump's new claim that everyone in Iran has approved the deal, including the supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, or Khamenei, saying that no one has accepted it and no agreement has been reached as per Fars. This has also been echoed by Tasnim, which is an IRGC affiliated news outlet. They're usually the one that you listen to now. Professor Morandi has claimed, although I'm not sure if he's updated this yet, that it could have been a reversion to a 2-week-old agreement, the one that they were supposed to sign, the one that Rubio was talking up a couple weeks ago, and then they tried to extract more concessions thereafter, and the Iranians obviously rejected that part of the deal. So now the thinking is that this was all just an elaborate pressure tactic last night in order to give Trump an opportunity to save face and say, see, you know, we're tough, we bullied them into submission, and now they're agreeing. And really all they did
That's
is
what I thought
revert
it
to a
looked like
previous
too.
deal that Iran had already, in theory anyways, agreed to. Okay, now, and it's important to remember that this is not a deal insofar as it's not an enduring, lasting peace deal. This is just a memorandum of understanding, a framework for prospective negotiations. All this does is just give them a license now to play these insider trading games for many, many more months. That's all this is. This is not an end to the war, not even remotely close. In fact, just before making this video, the Iranians struck a couple more vessels in the Straits of Hormuz. So the Straits of Hormuz are closed. Now, think about this, all right? These people are so rapacious, and I'm talking about, you know, the Zionist aligned class in Washington. These people are so greedy.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But Canadian preppers thinking that
Months.
it's not the end of it.
Months. Something's got to give
So
financially.
we'll see.
That's the only reason why this is going on. It won't stop until financially it gives. They're making money off of this war. As long as it's going on. The stock market, all of it.
Hold on a second, y'all. I'm going to pull up a clip about these data centers. Not good at all. You know, we're even hearing that it's polluting the water. It's a thing where, you know, I'm kind of wondering even, you know, if that has something to do with, you know, in the Bible it talks about, you know, the water being polluted and stuff. So I don't
Right.
know. I
It
wonder if
talks
that's got something to do with that.
actually talks about the water
I
being
don't
like
know.
a dead man's blood. That's a horrible state, but that's exactly what it says.
And I never thought about data centers being part of it. I don't know.
And they use twice the amount of electricity that they are allowed. And for the state, they use twice the amount of the state. They have to have that much electricity to run these things. Whatever the state uses, they use double the amount.
So y'all check out this clip here.
Wow, it's just pouring out of that stack. When you see this much color on the screen like this, what does that tell you? Showing a heat signature so that we know that pollution is happening at this site. This is Stargate, one of the largest AI data centers in the world. It's currently under construction in rural Texas. Stargate will eventually include 4 million square feet of buildings across 1,100 acres. That's larger than Central Park. When we get a look at it, we'll get a real sense of the scale that is involved here. I mean, this is a massive, massive site. It's estimated that by the year 2030, companies will have invested nearly $7 trillion in data center infrastructure in a race to dominate the AI market. But this race to build AI superiority is happening so fast, many are concerned that companies might be cutting corners or taking advantage of regulatory loopholes, especially when it comes to the electricity and water required to run these massive data centers. Want any questions answered? We just want it stopped. People all over the U.S. are raising the alarm about the impacts that these data centers could have on their health, their homes, and their livelihoods. Evan Simon has been investigating data centers around the U.S. He's already found that some AI data centers are brazenly defying environmental laws, and regulators are doing little to stop it. There's really a transparency issue around the AI industry right now. It feels like a really important time for us to really pay close attention to these things. We're teaming up today to take you up above for a different perspective on this science story, using a drone fitted with a thermal camera to investigate what's really happening at one of the world's largest data centers, and how it's impacting the people who live in its backyard. There are a lot of people that have not seen what we hope to show through the drone footage, especially the thermal drone footage. Is this even legal? Couldn't believe how much lighter my breathing felt the very first time I tried this.
Y'all.
For the first time in a long while, it felt like I could take a deeper breath without fighting for it. Most people are told that once you get older, or if you've smoked for years.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip it. Hang on a second, y'all.
Is this even legal? Alright, so this looks like any other drone. Regardless of how you feel about AI itself or the way that it's being rolled out, one thing is inescapable. Despite tech companies making promises about renewable energy and sustainable technology, much of this massive AI expansion is still being powered by fossil fuels. Your AI query likely pings a data center like this, full of millions of power-hungry processing chips running the chatbots, agents, and other tools that millions of people interact with every day. But to power those operations, data centers around the country are increasingly relying on their own custom-built gas power plants. The Stargate data center already has 62 diesel generators and 10 gas-powered turbines on site, with plans for 41 more. This will make it one of the largest fossil fuel power plants of any kind in Texas, and it's just to power this data center. Why is it so important that we keep an eye on this growing industry? There's a lot of secrecy surrounding these sites. Public officials are signing NDAs, companies are using proprietary information shields.
And state and federal regulators don't seem like they're able to keep up. So we feel like it's really important in our newsroom to monitor what seems like a fairly lightly regulated industry, especially as it grows at such a rapid clip.
New facilities like this are being built largely to meet demand for generative AI tools like chatbots. OpenAI reported that global use of chatbots more than doubled in the last year, going from 400 to 900 million users.
Growth is the number one concern for all of these data centers. They are trying to beat everybody else in being the first to really harness the profitability around AI, and for them, that really means essentially getting as much power as fast as they can.
Big tech companies are projected to spend more than $800 billion on the infrastructure behind artificial intelligence in 2026. And in 2027, that number will exceed $1 trillion. That's on par with the entire U.S. defense budget. Stargate is one of the most ambitious and powerful AI data centers ever built. The proposed on-site power plant could deliver more than 1.7 gigawatts of power. That's enough energy to power more than 1 million homes for a year. And the plant will emit more than 7.8 million tons of greenhouse gases each year. That's the annual emissions of about 2 million cars. Satellite imagery reveals the enormous impact that is made to the landscape from 2024 to today. And the construction still hasn't been completed. We're driving around and we still haven't gotten a clear look at this place. I think that's why the aerial view is going to be key to figuring out what's going on here.
Our thermal drone is just one part of our reporting process. We still heavily rely on more traditional forms of investigative journalism, mainly public records requests. So we often use a combination of public records requests and innovative things like thermal imaging to really get a sense of what exactly is happening at these facilities.
From the outside, this just looks like a gigantic building. What's happening inside of there that is causing all this demand, causing this race for energy?
The computer processors or GPUs that are inside of these massive data centers require enormous amounts of energy. It's really hard to get a sense of actually how much energy is pulsing through these facilities. And so that's why we've started to incorporate the thermal drone to really try to get a sense of what is actually happening at these facilities.
Myra Garcia, or OG, as she likes to be called.
So they went to somebody's house and ended up, using a drone to go and look at these, this Stargate data center, or data center, however you want to say it. But from what we're understanding, the people are really standing up against it in different states. They're going against it, they're standing up, they're doing all kinds of stuff to go against it.
And that's their right to.
But they have not been successful yet, from what I understand. They are still going ahead with this.
They said they needed to get rid of greenhouse gases. We need to go to electric cars. We need to stop having so much cattle around here and eat lab-grown meat.
That's what
we need
they're
to stop
saying.
eating rice because it makes too much gases from it. They say all of these things, and now they have data centers that are making so much greenhouse gases. It's unreal. There's no sense in this at all. It doesn't even calculate why they could say that we can't eat beef.
Right.
They make it hard to grow things.
I'm sure y'all realize that this is not God's way, what they're doing.
No.
But he is allowing them to do, because the destruction has to come, before the end.
Right. For him to take us home, it's got to happen.
And then this here, y'all heard about this screw worm? Where did a screw worm come from? This is like ridiculous. Never heard of such a thing. Only in the end times.
Federal officials confirmed the first case of a parasite in the dog.
Now they found it in a dog.
Nolan joining us in studio with more on what pet owners might want to be aware of. Alec.
Yeah, my immediate hotspot remains tied to livestock operations along the southern border. The reality that a household companion contracted the parasite has city pet owners mapping out a defense strategy.
It is critical to stay vigilant and stay informed.
Livestock and pet owners alike on high in Texas after the USDA initially reported a canine case of the New World screwworm
It's
in
a
the
shame.
panhandle town of Andrews, Texas. Federal officials later clarified that although the test was done in the Lone Star State, the dog actually lives in neighboring Lee County, New Mexico. Regardless of jurisdictions, Texans still left to wonder if their pet is safe from the parasite.
If your animal does have an open wound and you are starting to notice like a weird smell or maggots, definitely call your vet as soon as possible. It is something that we would report to the state boards as well.
Dr. Alexandra Ives from Austin Urban Vet Center says flea and tick medications are the first line of defense.
The biggest things is keeping them on flea and tick prevention. Things like Credelio Quattro, Simparica NexGard, and Brevecto do prevent and treat these screwworms.
The NWS fly is drawn to even the tiniest scratch on your pet, unloading hundreds of eggs surrounding the break in the skin. Within 12 hours, those eggs can hatch into flesh-eating larvae. But those modern monthly oral medications can kill the life cycle before it can start eating away.
Screwworm we're seeing most often in our cattle, so if these dogs are spending a lot of time with cattle or sheep or, on these big farms where these animals don't have that kind of protection, they are definitely more susceptible just with the exposure risk.
Whether on a ranch or on a daily sidewalk stroll, Dr. Ives says vigilance is the key to staying safe.
It's most often in a wound, but they can get in the mouth, any nose orifice, things like that. It's just not as common. I feel like people are watching their pets a little bit more than 1,000-head cattle farm. So just keeping an eye on them.
Now, if you notice any type of maggots on your animal, do not attempt to extract it yourself. You are asked to report the entire incident to state animal health officials immediately. Mike?
Yeah, it's a shame because from what we're understanding, and I'm sure some of y'all have heard about it, that they were dropping boxes of these screwworms on farm property.
Yes. Some black helicopters dropping boxes, and a farmer picked them up. Ticks coming out of the box. Boxes of ticks.
Oh, that's right. I said screwworms, but
I'm sorry.
that was the ticks, huh?
Yeah, actually a screwworm comes from a fly.
So that's right. The screwworm, I'm not sure. I don't know how that came about, but I know,
It's
we
all
never
happening
had that.
about the same time.
We never had this before.
Right.
So
They shouldn't, this is too much coincidence that this is going on, really.
But the ticks, yeah, that is what we heard, that the ticks that they were dropping boxes of ticks on farmers' property.
Some black helicopter. And Bill Gates, of course, is okay with this. He has a lab-grown meat company. And once you get bit by the tick, you become a virus that keeps you from ever eating meat.
Oh,
again.
Yeah, allergic to red meat.
Allergic to red meat. You can't eat it again. You got to eat other things. It'll make you sick to breathe it, to even breathe meat, the way I understand. So it kind of, why would it be happening now when they're trying to get people to eat lab-grown meat? Why would that be happening? Is there something that could be along with this? Don't eat meat anymore. Eat lab-grown meat. I don't think so.
Our day went pretty well. It was pretty hot today, though. That's one thing for sure. I think that might have to do with the end times too. Seems to be getting hotter, and it talks about that in Revelation. Here's a clip on what's coming is bigger than a recession. Catherine Austin Fitz.
The current administration has $6 to $7 trillion a year of expenses and $4 trillion of revenues. So they have of $2 to $3 trillion a year, and the debt is skyrocketing. So they don't have agency. And, there's all sorts of questions about how exactly they get their orders and how it works. But, they are functioning in a world where they don't have control. And it's clear that the president is basically doing what he's told. And the question is, who's telling him and how does that message get delivered? So you kind of had this show in front where a group of people look and act like they're running things, but it looks discombobulated because they're constantly saying one thing and doing another and whatever. And then behind it, you have a group of people who, in my experience, are pretty competent and are making it clear, this is how we're going to go. And some people refer to that as deep state. I usually refer to that as central bankers. The system wants to implement a control grid, and it can't do it without cutting off the leakage. And I suspect that's a big part of what is happening is about. The U.S. government spends, for many decades now, $500 billion to $1 trillion a year. So our military budget is $1 trillion a year. If you're buying a global reserve currency, there's one thing you must do if you're the military, and that is you must keep the sea lanes open and you must control the sea lanes. We shut down the Straits of Hormuz. Initially, it was the City of London that shut it down. It was Lloyd's. Lloyd's pulled the insurance. Okay, so the city shut down the Straits, not the Iranians, right? And now you have $1 trillion a year military saying that they're helpless to keep the Straits open. Do you believe that? So the Iranians have been under severe sanctions for decades. And what we're saying is a country of 92 million with a tiny military budget under severe sanctions controls the Straits, and the American empire with $1 trillion a year is helpless to do it. But let's look at the global chessboard. The Americans tried to put on tariffs for everybody. The Supreme Court has said, no, you can't do that. But there's another way to put everybody over the barrel. Remember, the Americans have worked very hard to make sure they're energy self-sufficient, and they have stockpiles of a lot of things they need. Okay, they just put the world into energy collapse and famine conditions, by doing this. So now they got everybody over a barrel. And they're relatively, it's what one of the economic spokesperson for the White House, they said, American economy is going to be fine. He said the consumer is going to be hurt, but the economy will be fine because, in fact, the billionaires should be fine. Because what you're talking about doing is creating the conditions for massive consolidation upwards. I mean, you can shut down every small business and small farm in the world and consolidate upward, because if you've got the reserve currency, and you can do what you did during COVID. We bankrupted or shut down 35% of the small business and God knows how many of the small farms. And the publicly traded Wall Street firms had a field day. They made a fortune, right? So it was successful. And if you think that's successful, why do you see this? Because for the last year, the administration has cut down massive amounts of, there are all these different programs to provide funding for the food insecure, both domestically and internationally. They've canceled, I think, most, if not all of that. I mean, now you're talking about serious famine conditions globally if this continues. Because if you look at the ingredients coming through for the fertilizer plants, including in Europe, and then look at everything we've done in Europe to shut down the small farmer. I mean, you are creating the conditions of famine. That's criminal. Programmable money and food are two sides of one coin. If everybody can grow food and eat, and they have food and energy, they can make community currencies. They don't need my money. I gotta control the energy and the food if I'm gonna get programmable money. If I'm gonna put everybody in the digital concentration camp.
Right.
We are very close, and they are moving very fast.
Oh, yes.
So it's scary, and it's
Right. So
very close, moving very fast.
You can't feed yourself. That's what they're scared of. You can feed yourself. They can't put you in the digital prison. But nobody's ready. A lot of people are not ready to feed themselves. My folks years ago fed themselves, gardens, animals, all the things they needed. They didn't even know there was a Great Depression. They said until they tried to sell something.
Oh, and on Riverside Homestead, I got a clip I'm going to play from him. And this is what we've been trying to get across to y'all about biometrics and stuff like that. Just a second. Just a second, y'all. Okay, here we go.
Trying to save money in what feels like, picture this. You're already stretching every dollar, trying to save money in what feels like a never-ending economic pinch. And yet, while you're focused on trying to make ends meet, some big box stores might be quietly draining you even further. But if I told you if some of these stores are facial scanning you, doing retina scans, cross-checking it with every social media profile you've got. Today, we're diving into some shocking reports where Walmart's free Wi-Fi might not be so free and where products you buy may not weigh what they claim. We're talking about subtle weight discrepancies, shorted products, and even sneaky price hikes at self-checkout. If you thought you were just paying for groceries, think again. Let's break down these hidden scams and how you can protect yourself, because every ounce and every dollar matters, especially now. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for starting us off with a thumbs up. It helps to reach more folks. People need to be aware of this because in a time where most people would say we're in a recession, I feel like a lot of people would agree with me. It's feeling a little bit more tight and it's been everlasting, right? This has lasted a long. Put a number 1 in the comments if you guys agree. Things are definitely feeling a lot tighter recently. Real quick, before I show you how they're price gouging you on weight and cost and everything, let's get this one out of the way because this one is the most alarming to me.
Do you guys want to hear something scary? So I've been working on a paper about Walmart and facial recognition and like technology and surveillance in the self-checkout lines, right? What you didn't know is that Walmart works with a company called Clearview AI. Clearview AI has a database that collects photos from every social media platform all around the world. Clearview AI gives this information to Walmart, and Walmart will compare that information and those photos to their facial recognition databases. So if you are stealing in Walmart and your face is on social media, they're gonna get you. Not only do they have all of this information from Clearview AI, but they also have retina and iris scanners in the self-checkout lines. And there is currently a lawsuit pending about all of this. Not only are these software stealing your biometric data, but they are also very discriminatory. If you are a darker skinned female, you have a 35% higher chance of being arrested due to errors in the AI systems. And if you're a lighter skinned male, well, the error rate is less than 1%. Now, some of you may make the argument that there is no expectation of privacy in public or online, but harvesting biometric data without consent.
Now, not only do you have to worry about that stuff, by the way, I think I'm only in the 1%.
That's what we wanted, wanted to make a point about that because we've said something about that before, it's really not good.
Right. The biometrics is such an intricate measurement of your face. In the Bible, it talks about no graven images.
Right. And it's part of the beast system.
Right. Anything that can stop you from buying and selling has got to be a part of it.
So if y'all can, y'all back out of that. Well, I think that's all we have to share with y'all tonight. Until next time, 2 Lamps Last Hour News.